Okay, I'm going to give you a few examples of secular sources that corroborate the gospel accounts. First, I'm going to read some of the Bible verses to refresh your memory, and then I'll read from the secular source. Luke 3:1. Now in the 15th year of the reign of Tiberius Caesar, Pontius Pilate, being governor of Judea. Matthew 27:1-26. When the morning was come, all the chief priests and elders of the people took counsel against Jesus to put him to death. And when they had bound him, they led him away and delivered him to Pontius Pilate the governor. And when he had scourged Jesus, he delivered him to be crucified. Now, a Roman historian, Carius Cornelius Tacitus, in Annals 1544, wrote, Christus, which is Latin for Christ, Christus suffered the extreme penalty during the reign of Tiberius at the hands of one of our procurators, Pontius Pilate. He confirmed this again when writing about Nero burning the city of Rome and blaming it on the Christians. Nero procured others to be accused and inflicted exquisite punishment upon those people who were in abhorrence for their crimes, and were commonly known by the name of Christians. They had their denomination from Christus, who in the reign of Tiberius was put to death as a criminal by the procurator Pontius Pilate. Matthew 27:45-54. Now this is when Jesus was on the cross, dying. Matthew 27. Now from the 6th hour there was darkness over all the land unto the 9th hour. Jesus, when he had cried again with a loud voice, yielded up the ghost. And behold, the veil of the temple was rent in twain from the top to the bottom, and the earth did quake, and the rocks rent. Now when the centurion and they that were with him, watching Jesus, saw the earthquake, and those things that were done, they feared greatly, saying, Truly this was the Son of God. Thallus, a 2nd century Mid-Eastern historian, mentioned the darkness during the time of the crucifixion. Another 2nd century chronicler called Phlegon of Tralles, if I'm pronouncing that right, he stated that during the 4th year of the 202nd Olympiad, which is around 32-33 AD, a great eclipse of the sun occurred at the 6th hour that excelled every other before it, turning the day into such darkness of night that the stars could be seen in heaven, and the earth moved in Bithynia, toppling many buildings in the city of Nicaea. Church historian Eusebius of Caesarea, in 264, who lived from 264 to 340 AD, cited another unnamed secular Greek source that also recorded earthquakes in the same locations and a solar eclipse at the time of the crucifixion of Jesus. Tertullian in Apologeticus in 197 AD said that those who didn't know the significance of the event no doubt thought it an eclipse. See, that's all everybody could figure when the sky went dark when Jesus was dying. They all just assumed it was a solar eclipse. But solar eclipses have never lasted 3 hours before. Solar eclipses never last 3 hours. Let's see. John 6:1-2. Jesus went over the Sea of Galilee, and a great multitude followed him, because they saw his miracles which he did. 1 Corinthians 15, 3-4. Christ died for our sins. He was buried, and he rose again the third day. First century Jewish historian Flavius Josephus wrote in Jewish Antiquities, Book 18, Chapter 3, At that time lived Jesus, a wise man, if he may be called a man, for he performed many wonderful works. He was a teacher of such men as received the truth with pleasure. He drew over to him both many of the Jews and many of the Gentiles. He was the Christ. And when Pilate, at the instigation of the chief men among us, had condemned him to the cross, those who before had conceived an affection for him did not cease to adhere to him. For on the third day he appeared to them alive again, the divine prophets having foretold these and many other wonderful things concerning him. And the sect of the Christians, so called from him, subsists at this time.